Hey guys, and welcome back to Extra Extra. Well, it's the podcast where God only knows. God only knows, man. Yeah. Whew. So, I'm the Dean of Games, the Dean Slater on all platforms. Again, it's just me. Um, so here's the deal. I mentioned before in housekeeping, with the last episode, this room behind me getting renovated. Okay. I don't know when that's going to be done. I don't know what I'm going to be doing content wise, just in general. I'm trying to get, I'm trying to get other, like my Let's Plays and stuff. I'm trying to get those ahead so that way I can at least put those out. Maybe I do a countdown or something for the next episode so that way I have that in the back burner that I can do or whatever. But yeah, so actually I know what I'm gonna do next week. Awesome. Anyway, hopefully we'll be done here soon. But who knows? I'm also helping a friend move. A friend who might end up being not a co-star on this podcast. She's not really interested in that, but might be a co-star in other projects that I plan on doing. I'm helping her move, and then I'm trying for some promotions as well at work. Fingers crossed on that. Who knows? So just so much going on in my life right now. Just it's a lot. So that's that. This is Extra Extra, your weekly gaming news podcast leading up to May 28th, 2024. And if you like us, you can go to patreon.com/thebriefingroom, where we have, we talk about what we've been playing, we talk about other things. There's editorials and stuff that we do where we do random things. But yeah, so anyway, that is that. Let's get to some news. Okay. Let's see what we got here. The first news... Oh, did not want that. The first news story that we are talking about is Warner Brothers is threatening to destroy a popular Mortal Kombat YouTube channel. The channel in question is called Toasted Shoes, and it's features mods for Mortal Kombat. They sent him a cease and desist in order to stop the videos, and they said this. This morning, I received an IP infringement notification directly from Warner Brothers, stating that the Mortal Kombat mods in my content infringe on their intellectual property. I've been requested to delete all Mortal Kombat 1 videos from my channel, or else they will issue copyright strikes and essentially delete my channel in its entirety. He posted videos showing characters not featured in the game modded into Mortal Kombat 1, such as Disney characters, etc., etc. So, for over 6 months, Warner Brothers has had zero issues with people modding the game, and Ed Boon himself has shared countless mod videos and clips praising them. The clips of my mods have over 1 billion views across all platforms that have allowed me to bring attention to this game, as well as continue supporting the team of developers I work with. And that comes from Jordan Midler at BGC. you guys probably already know my position on this because we've had to talk about it with Nintendo a lot. There's no issue, right? There really is not. It is not official, so it's not taking anything away from them. You have to buy the game from Warner Brothers. And as far as, like Disney, which they mentioned directly in the article, and everything else, it's not affecting Disney sales because Disney doesn't have a fighting game like Mortal Kombat. That's where my issue is. If it was actually legitimately affecting sales like the people playing Tears of the Kingdom before it officially came out, that I was against. And I'd be against if it was actually competing, game, taking away sales from it or taking away sales from Mortal Kombat through piracy. It's not doing any of that. It's literally not affecting anybody. Because to get it, you have to acknowledge that it's a mod. Therefore, you acknowledge that it's not official. So it's not like the content in it, it's not Mickey Mouse ripping, someone's heart out. It's not, it's not actually Disney officially endorsed Mickey Mouse ripping that person's heart out, right? So I don't see it hurting the IP at all of the characters that they've added in. It's not piracy because you have to have the game to get the mods. The mods themselves are not taking away sales from a competing game. What's the issue? It's just Warner Brothers is a shit company that has made us all pay for few movies now that we'll never actually see. But we paid them to make the movies because they wrote them off on taxes. This is a company that has shut down studios and companies that are making money, but just not money that they can take for themselves. They don't want to make money. They want to make money. And so they've shut down companies that aren't making money. That's where my issue is with stuff like this. And same with Nintendo taking down Nintendo characters in Gmod. Nintendo doesn't have a game like Gmod. Well, there's multiple game modes in Gmod, obviously, but they don't have game with any of the game modes that I know from Gmod. They don't have. It's not negatively impacting their IP as much as they say it is. Because people know that it's mods in the title. It's not affecting their sales. Clearly, everything that comes out on the Switch is making buku bucks. So that I hate it. I hate it here. I hate living in this capitalistic nightmare that we have found ourselves in. And I blame everyone that was complicit in letting it get to this point. Anyway, that's that. I'll get off my high horse there. And we'll go to another shitty company. Neil Druckmann claims he was misquoted by Sony. Earlier this week, Sony published, and this comes from Andy Robinson at VGC. Earlier this week, Sony published an interview with the designer on its website, and that said, I've been lucky to work on several dream projects, and I'm currently excited about the new one, which is perhaps the most thrilling yet. There is a growing appreciation for gaming that transcends all age groups, unlike when I was growing up. This shift is highlighted by our venture into television of The Last of Us, and I hope the gap would bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. The show's success has spotlighted gaming and illustrating the rich, immersive experience it offers. Blah, 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 and then it gets to, I'm eager to see how this game resonates, especially following the success as Last of Us, as it could redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming. And that's where a lot of people got hung up, like, dude, you're fucking full of yourself. Which, if any company, I will say, I'm not a big fan of Neil Druckmann in general, but I will say, if there's any company that could redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming, it is Naughty Dog, because that's what they did with the original Last of Us and, the Uncharted series and all that. But, oops, them redefining it the first time is what basically led to games needing to be bigger, and bigger, and now the mass layoffs that we've been seeing throughout the last year and a half to 2 years. Oops. Anyway, and then his whole thing about crunch and how in unions, and it's icky. But anyway, that doesn't change the fact that this is really shitty too. In editing my rambling answers in my recent interview with Sony, some of my words, context, and intent were unfortunately lost. Well, here's the full long rambling answer for the final question of our future game. And so, hold on, I gotta pull it up. Well, I've been very lucky in that this is a long post, by the way. And this is directly from Neil Druckmann's Twitter. Well, I've been very lucky in that I've had that. I've got the chance to make several of my dream projects. I'm working on a new one right now, and it's maybe the most excited I've been for a project yet. I can't wait to talk about it, or our bosses will. I can't talk about it, or our bosses will get mad at me. And I guess in general, there is something happening right now that I think is very cool, which is there's a new appreciation for gaming that I've never seen before. Like when I was growing up, gaming was more of a kid's thing. Now it's clearly for everyone. But it's like, if you're a gamer, you now know about the potential of games, and non-gamers, they don't really know what they're missing out on. But my hope was when we made The Last of Us as a TV show, that we could change that, and why I became so involved with it. I wanted so badly for it to be good because I wanted this to happen, which is like someone who will watch the show and really like it and fall in love with all those characters the way that we have fallen in love with those characters and their story. And then realize at the end, wait, that's based on a video game? And then go back and check out the game and just see the wealth of narratives and everything that's happening in games. So now I feel like there's kind of a spotlight on gaming. And Fallout just came out, and there's big success for Amazon, and I find that really exciting. Not because games need to be movies or they need to be TV shows, but I think it's just kind of opens up the eyes of a bunch of people that just weren't aware of the kind of experiences that exist in games. I think right now we're hitting a tipping point where it's all about where it's about to take off, where people realize, oh my god, there's all these incredible moving experiences in games. So I'm not only excited for this game that we're making, and it's something really fresh for us, but I'm also excited to see how the world reacts to it. Because The Last of Us because of The Last of Us and the success of the show, people even outside of gaming are looking at us to see what we put out next. I'm very excited to see what this reaction to this thing will be, and I've already said too much about it. I'll stop there. So if you're asking me for my dream projects, I've been very lucky to have worked on my favorite games with this incredible collaborators and very thankful for them. Oh boy. And so yeah. That's listen. Again, Neil Druckmann has some opinions about how to run companies that I don't fully agree with. But that's real shitty for Sony to have done. To take someone's words. And obviously, that definitely needed to be edited down a little bit. You know, rewrites needed to happen there. I get that. But then to add a sentence that wasn't said, and not only that, but it being as egotistical as it was, just to appeal to some fucking piece of shit investors. I'm sorry, that's what investors are. I can't help that. Is just, it's off. There's no tiptoeing around it. It's just off. Can I mention we're in a capitalistic nightmare? We're in hell. And I wish that these stories of companies being shitty would stop, but we are in a down year for gaming, so they're not going to stop, guys. They're just not. I want to cover happy news. You think I want to look like this? You think I want to groan when I go to a video game news website and be like, all right, let's see what stories we can cover? I just want to talk about how cool games are. Now, not how uncool these fucking companies are that are. It, like I said, that's just the worst thing you can do to an employee. Yes, he's running a studio, but his studio's under you. He's still your employee. What? Why would you do that to someone? It sucks, man. It sucks. These companies suck. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. UK passes a bill which could force Apple to allow Fortnite and Epic Games Store app on iOS. The Digital Markets Competition and Consumers Bill was introduced in April 2023 and seeks to provide for the regulation of competition in digital markets. It's set to have a general election on the 4th of July, and Parliament is set to be dissolved on May 30th. Which at any point, unfinished business will be lost because public bills can't be covered over from one parliament to the next. So, because they needed to pass some bills, the DMCC bill was one of the ones that were passed. Parts of the UK bill are similar to the EU's Digital Markets Act, which was sworn into EU law and went into effect in March, forcing companies such as Apple to allow users to sideload third-party apps onto and app stores onto their iOS devices. This is cool. So the UK is in quite a bit of disarray from what I've read as well. But at least they have some semblance of pro-consumerism. They have that. They have the law that if you're going to close down, if you're going to have mass layoffs, you have to let everyone know. Was it 30 days ahead of time or something like that? Whereas in the U.S., they're like, "Hey, today you're out of here." I had that happen. Oh wait, I actually had that happen to me once. I was working at this one job, and they had the 3 shifts. They had the morning shift, the afternoon shift, and the night shift. Well, they're like, all right, we're shutting down the 3rd shift, and we are consolidating all of the employees of the 3rd shift into the 1st and 2nd shifts. We promise no one will lose their job because of this. They flat out said this. Big assembly of all the employees on 1st shift. They're like, don't worry, no one will lose their jobs. We're not gonna have layoffs. So we're like, okay, yeah, cool. I guess we could use the extra help or whatever. So we do our jobs. I'm like, all right, it's time to hit the road. Got to go see my family. And everyone else was like, yeah, we're going to hit the road, see our family too. Hop in the car. I lived less than a mile away from that job. Got home. It's like, that was productive. Went to go make late lunch because it was I worked early mornings. Got a phone call. Answered it. Hey, you don't have a job anymore. They couldn't even tell us while we were there that we didn't have a job. They assured us that we'd all have a job, so we'd keep working, and then they waited till we got home. I later called some of my other coworkers, and they're like, oh yeah, we lost our jobs too. But don't worry, no one's jobs would be affected. Fuck these companies. They think, these politicians are thinking TikTok's radicalized my generation and the Gen Z generation. No. Life has radicalized us. All right? Your shitty policies and taking money under the table. That's what radicalized us. Dumbasses. Anyway. UK, they can't do that. They have to give you a warning first, which is cool. And then this policy is cool as well. I do not like Apple. Never have. Never will. And I'm glad that some of their shitty practices are getting put in their places with the them having to use the USB-C, with them, this whole thing with the storefronts and everything. I'm glad that things are starting to get back to where they need to be. I say back, they were never where they were supposed to be in the first place. But if there's one thing I will say about Apple that I can't say about any of the other companies we cover here, especially not the next company we're going to be covering. When, all the tech industries, not just video games, are kind of suffering right now. When it came time to figure out how they're going to move forward with their company, instead of like Microsoft laying off an entire stadium's worth of people, instead of, it Embracer destroying 40% to half of their company or whatever. Instead of doing all that, Tim Cook, I believe it's Tim Cook, took a pay cut, similar to Iwata back in the day. Took a pay cut, no layoffs. I haven't checked recently to see if they have actually had layoffs since then, but at the time, they, instead of having layoffs, they took the pay cut. And that's the kudos I'll give to Apple. Anyway. Now time for another shitty company. Woo-wee! IGN agrees deal for gamer network sites, including Eurogamer and GameIndustry.biz. So, the UK-based games company has been acquired for an unknown sum from Reed Pop, the PAX and New York Comic Con organizer. The news shared Tuesday, along with confirmation that the acquisition would result in redundancies across the organization. Yay! The publications include GameIndustry.biz, Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, VG247, and Dicebreakers. The business also holds shares in Outside Xbox, Digital Foundry, and Hookshot. And Hookshot operates Nintendo Life, Push Square, Pure Xbox, and Time Extension. So, IGN. I like IGN. Unlike a lot of people, I don't mind their content. I usually go with BGC because it's much easier to compile into, I use bullet points. So I'll type out a bullet point and then anything else, tab over if it's related to that. And then it's easier to assemble and compile the information from VGC for that. But I do use IGN for supplementary information that may not be in VGC, but like I find related enough, or if it's related to an older story that I remember, I'll type in that story, and if IGN's the one that comes up, I'll use that as the supplementary information. I did put in for a position at IGN as well. Didn't get it. Oh well. I guess it's a good thing now, right? Whew. But it was real shitty when, they're like, hey, we're starting this union. Ziff Davis has already agreed, to acknowledge us as a union. Everything's fine. Layoffs. But we're not calling them layoffs. So we don't have to, actually report it to the union. And even though we have other positions we could have moved them to, we're not going to. And now with this, where they're like, all right, we're taking all these other companies in, and we're firing a bunch of people. Why take the companies in then? Why? The fact that layoffs actually improve a company's value on the stock market is disgusting. The fact that you can buy a bunch of companies and then shut them down, basically. or reduce them down to skeleton crew, and your value still goes up, is appalling. That there should be more value in the stock market on the number of employees that are actually employed with the company. The fact that that doesn't exist, the fact that they can just, all right, we bought a bunch of companies, we're shutting down the companies, but now we don't have competition. The fact that you can do that and that you don't take a hit at all, awful. Just awful. But yeah, that's I don't know if I said this story came from Andy Robinson as well at BGC. And all the links will be in the description of the video as well. Just sucks, man. I feel like a broken record. I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over and over because I am. Because these companies are doing the exact same thing over and over again. Just I genuinely have not been interested in playing any games recently just because there's been so many bad stories. Like, I love doing this podcast. I've been dreading covering the news over the last 4 months because I know inevitably it's going to be like, all right, 400 people lost their jobs. It not only makes me hate doing this, this is my passion. Not only does it affect me doing this, but it affects me playing games. I just don't want to play games now. Because I know even if I play the game, I fucking loved Hi-Fi Rush. I can't play it anymore. Even if I wanted to play it, I cannot play it anymore because the studio does not exist, and just looking at it makes me upset. Just opening up anything, like anything gaming related, I'm like, will I actually ever be able to play this game again? Will I actually ever play a sequel to this game again? Well, if I like this game, will I see another game from these developers again? I just don't want to. It's affected how I view my two biggest hobbies. It's awful. It legitimately is. Like, I know I'm saying that over and over again, but there's no other way to say it. It just fucking sucks. It does. The last 2 episodes I've been making jokes because that's all I can do at this point. It is the same story over and over again. And despite everyone saying, this ain't it, Chief, these companies are like, too bad, that's what we're going to do. It's just, ugh, I hate it. It's awful. So anyway, that's this week's video. Subscribe for more. But no, legitimately, it does suck. But we as gamers, we have to come together. And honestly, we as society, it's not even just us gamers, we as society have to come together and be like, we're tired of you taking all of our money, taking away our jobs, and then raising the price on everything. And this isn't even about the price of video games. $70 is a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much. I don't have them anymore, but I used to have like a rack of model trains over here. That's another hobby I had that I got from my grandpa. I haven't actually bought any trains because the cheapest ones are $400. And those are, like I said, those are cheap ones. But like the $70 honestly is not that much in the grand scheme of things. As far as hobbies are concerned, I mean, just look at cosplayers talking about like some of their cosplays, the cost of those. Everything's up there. But like food is becoming too expensive to actually buy for a significant amount of people. And companies aren't paying those people more. And in fact, if anything, they're trying to pay those people less, but charge more for the food. They are effectively trying to erase the lower class. It sucks. So it's not just video games, it's everywhere. And so we as a society have to say enough is enough. When that happens, I don't know, because social media has destroyed all semblance of assembling for a common cause. But if you liked, or even if you didn't like this video, be sure to do all the things like hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and hitting the bell at the XofPlays on YouTube, or giving it a high rating on whatever podcast service you use. Be sure to tell people about the show. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow. And also, something I recently learned, if you are using a podcast service such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Castbox or iHeartRadio, whatever podcast service you use, if there's actually an option to download the podcast instead of streaming the podcast, that actually helps immensely as well. So if you could do that, I would appreciate that as well. I brought it up before, but on patreon.com/thebriefingroom, you can financially support the show and get cool rewards as well. That's all from us. Take care.